Hola everyone! Hope you're all having a great day today. Little Bombay's all the way here. Just chilling on the bed. And don't worry if you see this weird bump right here. I promise there's no one under the covers. Just yet. Anyway, so I get this question pretty much every time I post anywhere. At least once. At least, when I stream too, everyone's curious, and I'm probably always going to get these questions for the rest of my life. Which is fine, because I've been getting these questions ever since I knew the English language. Everyone wants to know, what am I? What's my ethnic background, racial background, who are my parents, grandparents, where are they from? And they can all assume whatever they want for some reason, and it'll all somehow make sense. I've gotten a lot of different combinations in the world. There was even like a point in my life where I would just make some things up, and people would just be like, oh, wow, yeah, I totally see that in you, yeah. A little story time, I guess, even though I don't really like talking about whatever. But in my previous relationship, when Desmond and I first got together, when people would ask him, what am I? What's my racial background? He would just literally say anything that came off the top of his head, and any kind of mix, any kind of weird combination, they would eat it all up and pretty much have that same reaction, like, oh yeah, I see it, definitely. Now, since I'm older and I'm becoming much more, I guess, tired. Before, I didn't really like letting people know my actual ethnic background because I would just get a lackluster response. I wouldn't get one of those, oh wow, yeah, definitely. I'll just get a, oh. And that's it. So my ethnic background is Puerto Rican. Both my parents are from the island. My dad was born there. My mom's parents were born there. My mom was born here. I pretty much have a very strong lineage back over there. It's really unfortunate what the island has become nowadays, especially with the economic crisis. And to anyone who's watching this, who's from Puerto Rico, who's there right now, I love you all. Come here, just a hug right here. I don't know what else to say. Just stay well. Hope you're doing well over there. I have a lot of family that's over there. Unfortunately, I don't know the language fluently, but I feel like this is the year where I'm definitely going to pursue that. I feel like I'm really going to try to learn Spanish fluently. I have a big vocabulary. My problem is coming up with the sentences fast enough for me to be able to respond to people. I watch telenovelas and I can sort of figure out what they're saying, but it takes a little longer for me to figure it out, so watch out. Just start speaking to me in Spanish and I'm gonna try my best to respond back. Like, seriously, just try it. Say whatever you want, whatever. Google Translate is actually really helpful for me. So now I got my ethnic background. Now I'm going to show you my DNA background thanks to Ancestry.com. This is not a sponsored video, by the way. I did this test back in 2015. I wanted it for my birthday and I got it. And I was so happy I got it within 3 weeks, even though they said like 4 to 6. So that's pretty cool. So now we're at the home screen. So I'm gonna go to DNA right here. So now we're gonna look into my genetic ancestry. And now they have this new thing where they figure out your genetic communities, and they were able to figure out that I'm most likely part of the Puerto Ricans in northwestern Puerto Rico. Don't mind why I switched up the accent. I was able to pick that up. That was cool. And this is my ethnicity estimate. I'm about 42% African, less than 1% Asian, 45% European, and 11% American. See the little red dot? That shows where I'm most likely from, where, my community is from. And it's very much true. A little background on Puerto Rico in general. Puerto Rico is part of the New World discovered by Christopher Columbus. As you know, this is going to be a very short explanation over what happened, because I'm pretty sure you all know. If you're American, you at least know about the colonization of what is now the United States of North and South America. Christopher Columbus went into Puerto Rico. They saw the natives. That area specifically, they're called the Taino. Basically told them, you either work for us or you die. And they were like, oh hell no, we will fight you. And unfortunately, they lost. Their women were raped and murdered. Their men were murdered. It was an absolute slaughterhouse over there. And what came over were the Spanish conquistadors, and they brought in slaves from Africa. So this is why my genetic makeup is the way it is. As you can see, most of the African portion of this is from the Northwest. That's pretty much the quickest way to get to Puerto Rico from Africa. Majority of the African portion of my genetic makeup comes from the Cameroon or Congo region. 10% comes from Mali, right over here. 8% comes from Africa North, which is Morocco, Western Sahara, Algeria, Libya. So when people do assume that I look a little Middle Eastern, they're wrong. North African. Another 8% from Benin and Togo region, 2% from the Ivory Coast and Ghana, 1% Southeastern Africa from the Bantu region, less than 1% Nigerian, less than 1% from Senegal. So that's my African makeup. So that explains my hair type, it explains my skin color, and I guess any other features you might point out from me. My dad looks like this, if that helps you out. So he would have a stronger percentage of all of these, while also mixed with the other portions too. I don't know. I offered to give him a DNA test, but of course he started going off on me on all of these government conspiracy theories. The government keeps track of our DNA, pretty much kill us all. They're just waiting to track us and find us and kill us. I don't care. Ancestry can have my DNA. Whatever. Now we're going to go into the European portion, where I am, funny enough, 22% Italian Greece. Oh my god, they need to fix this. Just try to sneak in. Oh my god. My ancestry from Europe mostly comes from the Mediterranean area, which a lot of people will not really come to terms with. They're like, oh, I'm Puerto Rican, I'm Spanish. Like, no, conquistadors weren't always Spanish. I have some portion of me from Spain, which is called the Iberian Peninsula, so it can also mean Portugal. I'm 7% British, primarily located in England, Scotland, and Wales. 4% Irish, 2% from Europe East, which can include Poland, Slovakia, Czech Republic, Austria, Russia, all those places. They don't know where from, but they say one of those countries. I'm from there. 1% Europe West, which can be Belgium, France, Germany, Netherlands, Switzerland, Luxembourg, Liechtenstein. Did I pronounce that correctly? I don't know, I tried guys. And then less than 1% Finland and Northwest Russia. They picked up that I am 11% Native American. I guess they're unable to pick up enough data from one specific tribe, 1% per community. Now I'm gonna click on genetic communities. It says Puerto Ricans in the Northwest. I don't know what that is, so I'm gonna click on it. It shows me the history. You know, one thing about Puerto Ricans that kind of gets me a little perturbed when it comes to the culture anyway. Just like the rest of the US, Puerto Rico also had their fair share of discrimination against people of African descent, just like my father. He would always be made fun of in class when he was in school for being like really, really dark. And so because of that, I've noticed that people who are Puerto Rican, whenever they do speak of their mixed heritage, although it is changing, not many people do acknowledge their African side. They would say that their brown eyes come from the Native American side, even though most likely it comes from their African side. Because there was such a mass genocide of Native Taino, the chances of Puerto Ricans having a very high percentage of that kind of lineage in their DNA is pretty low. That's why someone like me only has 11%, and mostly has African and European history. So whenever you see a Puerto Rican and all they're talking about is their Native Taino, you gotta remind them that, you know, it's most likely because they're black. Like, I never get mad when people call me a black girl because I am. Right? It's just a little more diluted. So it gets people kind of uncomfortable because I don't look a certain way. I don't have the wide nose, my hair isn't kinky. are not as curly as what people would expect from a black woman. So sociology aside, this is also kind of just a plea to all Puerto Ricans who are watching this, also anyone from any Hispanic country such as the Dominican Republic, Cuba. You don't necessarily get your color from your native side. I'm not saying you don't have one. I'm just saying most likely all of those traits mostly come from, you know, your African side. And thankfully we're in a world now where people are much more embracing and accepting of their African roots. I remember a couple of years ago when I was a teenager, I started learning the history. I remember saying at the dinner table, like, yeah, guys, do you know that we're African? My dad got so upset. I don't know why. He's like, we're not black, we're Puerto Rican. And that confused me a lot. It really started my whole, I feel like I had to rediscover myself. Okay, so now you all know what I'm made up of. I highly encourage anyone to do this. And hey, if you're Puerto Rican, we're most likely cousins. So message me. Mo, get on this first. And then we'll see. We'll talk. Alright? Like, don't get it twisted. But anyway, it's such a small island. I feel like everyone's related down there, right? That makes a lot of sense, right? Thank you all for watching. It's kind of a long video, right? I kind of was rambling. This is going to take a lot for me to cut down. I recorded like 30 minutes of just me talking. I'll see you on the next video. If you guys can, maybe give me some suggestions on what to post, because at this point, I'm kind of running on blanks. And I don't know. Still testing the waters here on this little YouTube channel and this little slice of the internet that I've created. Bagale says bye too, even though he's a little comatose right now. Oh, you heard me talking about him. Alright, see you all later. Bye!